Romans chapter 13, verses 1 through 7. My devotional is pretty much about my personal road to Christ. It began about 32 or so years ago. My wife, Virginia, ran into an old friend, Jeanette Francis, the daughter of my first pastor, Jim Francis. She mentioned that she could stop by and take my son and daughter to Sunday school when she goes to church and bring them home after church. Kind of shamed my wife a little. She grew up with Jeanette in the church over there. She went to youth group. She was in gymnastics with her for quite a few years. But she said that she could bring them and she'd, go to church. After 3 or 4 weeks, the kids came home and wanted to know how come Dad gets to stay home and drink coffee and read the paper on Sunday. So she looked at me and said, "You want to explain that to him?" And I said, "All right, maybe I'll go. I'll just go to church. I won't go to Sunday school." So the next Sunday I showed up and I'm looking for my wife and kids in the church. And there was an older gentleman named Russ Rowe. I'll always remember him. He looks at me and goes, "Oh, you're new here." I said, "My name's Ray, and I'm looking for my wife, Virginia, and kids." She goes, "Virginia's your wife?" All this time I thought she was a single mom. Boy, I'll tell you, that hit me. So from then on, I'm going to say that if I'm in Martinez on Sunday, I'm in church. After a few months, Pastor Francis decided to ask me if I'm a landscaper, because she didn't know I'd mow your lawns here and take care of the courtyard and stuff. But he asked me if I would mow the big field, and I said, "Oh, sure. What are you mowing the big field for?" He goes, "We have Easter egg hunt every year, and just get it cleaned up, throw the eggs and stuff out there." So me and my buddy that worked with me, we went out and mowed it, got done, and came back, and he says, "Okay, so how much do I owe you?" And I said, "Well, my buddy here, he gets $10 an hour, so you can make a check out for $20, because we were here for 2 hours. And I get $40, because I get $20 an hour." He looks at me, he said, "You don't pay him?" I said, "Of course I pay him. I pay him cash." He says, "Okay." He wrote a check to my buddy Ken, and says, "If you don't mind, I'd like you to give that to him and come back in for a few minutes and have a word with you." So I went back, gave him the check, came back into his office, and he looks at me and he says, "Ray, you're ruining America." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, he goes, "You pay cash. Who pays for his Social Security, his unemployment, his disability, his workers' comp, and his taxes that run America, Ray? Come on now." Then he read me Romans. He didn't even read it. He actually knew it pretty much for word. But let every soul, this is chapter 13, verses 1 through 7. Let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authority resists the ordinance of God, and those who resist will bring judgment on themselves. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Do you want to be unafraid of authority? Do what is good, and you will have praise for the same. For he is God's minister to you for good. But if you do evil, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is God's minister and avenger, to execute wrath on him who practices evil. Therefore you must be subject, not only because of wrath, but also for conscience sake. For because of this you also pay taxes, for they are God's ministers, attending continually to this very thing. Render therefore to all their due: taxes, to whom taxes are due; customs, to whom customs are due; fear, to whom fear; honor, to whom honor.